Good morning, my dear students. We are going to learn chapter 6, An Angel in Disguise. We are going to learn the last chapter of this year's syllabus. So, I hope you all completed the workbook exercises till chapter 5. If not, try to complete that exercises as early as possible. An Angel in Disguise is a story which lays emphasis on the importance of loving and caring for others and proves that love is essential for human survival. The story is about a poor woman who falls upon the threshold of her own door in a drunken fit and dies, leaving behind two daughters and a son to fend for themselves. The townspeople take pity on these children, and the two oldest are taken in by new families, but the youngest, Maggie, who is crippled, is left alone because no one wants to deal with her disability. A man named Joy Thompson decided to take her in for the night but plans to take her to the poor house the next morning because he knows his wife would not approve for her. When Joy brings Maggie home in arms, his wife is enraged that he brings that sick bat into her house. Joe begs her, "Look at her kindly, Jane, speaks to her kindly. Think of her dead mother, and the loneliness, the pain, the sorrow that must be on all her coming life." The softness of his heart gives eloquence to his lips. While Joe is out at work, his wife spends the day with Maggie and grows very fond of her. The Thompsons end up keeping Maggie, and she becomes a blessing. It had been dark and cold and miserable there for a long time just because his wife had nothing to love and care for out of herself, and so became sore, irritable, ill-tempered, and self-afflicted in the desolation of her woman's nature. Now, the sickness of that sick child, looking ever to her in love, patience, and gratitude, was as honey to her soul, and she carried her in her heart as well as in her arms, a precious burden. Maggie was an angel in disguise. This is all about the story. The story begins with the introduction of a drunkard woman. The entire society, even children, hate her. One day, she fell on her own door and died. She left behind her 3 children in suffering. She had 2 daughters and a son. The entire town was against her. They all hated her. But after listening to the news of that woman's death, the anger gave way to pity. That people came with a little food and some clothes to visit that dead body. They gave that food to these 3 children and they covered that body with that clothes. They all felt pity on these 3 children, and some of them was ready to adopt them. They only adopted the elder 2, John and Kate. John is about 12 years old. One farmer took him. Kate was in between 10 and 11. One woman took her, but nobody was interested to take the youngest one, Maggie. When she was very small, she fell from the window and that affected her spinal cord. Because of that, she is completely bedridden. That is the reason nobody wants her. Nobody is interested to deal with her disability. They know that it will become a burden for them. Some people took the dead body of that drunkard woman. Nobody followed that body. John and Kate also left. The pity people, those who came to visit that children and dead body, one by one they also started to leave that place. At last, only Joy Thompson remained. He was also about to leave, but Maggie asked him to not leave her alone. After a deep thought, Joy Thompson decided to take her to his house. He took her in his strong arms and walked away. When Joy Thompson reached his house, his wife was not happy to see that scene. She is an ill-tempered, irritated woman, just because she does not have anyone to love and care. Mr. and Mrs. Joy Thompson was without children. She shouted and asked Joy Thompson, "Why you bring this girl here?" First he did not reply. Joy Thompson took her to a room, placed her gently in a bed, and closed the door. After that, Joy Thompson replied to the question of his wife. He explained that today night we will take care of her and the next day they will send her to a poor house nearby. That explanation melted the heart of Mrs. Joy Thompson. Mr. Joy Thompson begged again. Look at her kindly. Speak to her kindly. Think of her dead mother and the loneliness, the pain, the sorrow that must be on all her coming life. The hard heart of Mrs. Joy Thompson changed. Mr. Joy Thompson went out for his work. That time, his wife spent the day with Maggie. That completely changed the heart of Mrs. Joy Thompson. She started to love and take care of his bedridden Maggie. Mr. and Mrs. Joy Thompson started to love and take care of Maggie. One day passed, 1 week passed, 1 month and years passed. Mr. and Mrs. Thompsons end up keeping Maggie forever. Maggie's sweetness, love, patience and gratitude transformed Mrs. Thompson completely. And our Maggie proved to be an angel in disguise. Dear students, read the chapter and find out the difficult word meanings. If your workbook exercises of chapter 5 is not complete, try to complete it fast. Thank you.